What's happening, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Thrylos 7 International. I am one of our many co-hosts, Kostas Lianos, or Kostas with a K, uh, whatever it is that you prefer to go with. And I am joined with none other than my esteemed co-host, Dimitris Kouimtsidis. Dimitri, thank you so much for joining me. Dimitri, how are you feeling? What's best so far? What's worse so far? The floodings in England or tonight's dismal performance at Lyon?
Definitely the floods, man. The weather is shocking, but doing the show, seeing you, cheers me up. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about Olympiacos and sort of try to put a damper on people's disappointment. So actually make things better than how a lot of our fans seem to be at the moment. I think I'm gonna cheer you all up because I'm not in as bad a mood as everyone else, and I feel like I'm gonna do the same to you. Hopefully, I'm gonna cheer you up because I feel like you're definitely in a worse situation than I am at the moment. So let's give it a go.
Well, I am looking forward to this. In my opinion, I found the performance tonight quite disappointing, but I'm going to tell you one thing that's definitely not disappointing. Guys, we are nominated. Thrylos 7 International has been nominated as for Best International Podcast in the Football Content Awards, coming to you live in November at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We are nominated, guys. This amazing initiative started by Aris Bouloubasis, Labros Sirmos, and let's not forget Peter Thompson. Back 4 years ago in Maryland, between three friends who happened to be Olympiacos fans, they started it out, and look what's happened right now. Look how big this podcast has become. Look how different the club looks internationally as well. Look at us going to Karaiskaki. Look at us covering the cup final, derbies, exclusive interviews with club legends and current players. Kostas Karapapas, the VP, go check it out, guys. But here's what would make it even better. If you guys voted for us, in the description, first paragraph, literally first paragraph, there's the link. Click on it or copy and paste it, whatever the hell is going on, because YouTube keeps changing. Guys, go vote for us. Best International Podcast in the upcoming Football Content Awards. I'm going to be there. And guys, I have full faith that there's a great chance we could be bringing it home. But regardless, guys, we're so proud. And more specifically, thank you. Without you guys, nothing is possible. Guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Olympiacos are everywhere. But without you, there'd never be any evidence for it. So thank you, and thank you again. And if you haven't done so, please do like and subscribe. Hit the button and the notification bell below. Let's keep growing this channel, especially now that we're on a roll. We keep bringing you all sorts of exclusive interviews, exclusive content. We're going to the stadium. I'm going to try and go to Braga, although, well, I'm going to need a Xanax or two for that, I'm afraid. But I'm still doing it because we're nominated, goddammit, and I'm doing it. And if you haven't done so already, please do support us on Patreon. It is an amazing little community we have created in the WhatsApp group. I don't know if you've checked it tonight, Dimitri, but it was very much alive tonight. It always is alive. It doesn't matter if we're playing in Europe or we're on international break. It's always alive. And you're going to have exclusive access to all of our exclusive content that we do not show on YouTube. And in my opinion, the best part of being on Patreon, we say all the things we can't say on camera. So join us if you haven't done so already, my dear friends. So back to it again, I guess, Dimitri. I guess this is going to be an interesting show because we come from two different places, you and I, right now. Well, we both watched the game. Third consecutive match for Olympiacos without a victory. Olympiacos have conceded a total of 4 goals in the last 3 matches, have only scored once, which is much better than what I initially feared before El Kabi hit the back of the net against Aris. I feared that we would be three consecutive matches completely goalless. Another toothless performance, in my opinion, which makes no sense considering the quality that's in the roster, considering the fact that Olympiacos still have the manager that led them to their first and only European title. One of the best managers in the world, in my opinion, José Luis Mendilibar. 8 out of 11 players in the starting lineup were part of the Europa Conference League winning team. Dimitri, what do you make of it?
Just want to echo what Kostas said and just add, also follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. A lot of our content goes out there, and and your support helps us so much. We recently reached 10K on Instagram, which is insane. But yeah, regarding the game. So Kostas right. The team, the manager, they're the same. The core, at least, is the same compared to the end of last season, compared to the team that won the Conference League. Now, the big difference, you'd say, is you're missing your two best midfielders, well, offensive midfielders in Fortounis and Pedense. Of course, I get it. However, it doesn't excuse a performance which, for me, showed a lack of chemistry and a lack of teamwork. It seemed like the team was disjointed rather than lack of talent, rather than lack of effort. It seemed like the players weren't on the same page necessarily, and didn't know where their teammate was, how to find their teammate, how to get them in the best positions. It just seemed disjointed and slow, and as if this team had just been put together this summer. That is my problem with the game. With that in mind, why I think I'm in a slightly better mood than you are is because two things. I didn't expect us to win. I expected, like, my mind was saying the best case scenario is a draw. And secondly, I genuinely do believe in that we are going to get better as the season progresses. That's the very rough feeling that I have. What do you think? Before we delve deeper into the actual tactics and the formation and the way that the team was playing, how do you feel about my opinion on the disjointedness, on the team not playing as if the team not showing the fact that 8 of them had played together last year in the final? Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. It didn't look like it was the same team. Do you feel the same? You're on mute. You're on mute, Costa.
Sorry about this, guys. We've been doing this for 4 years, and I still struggle with that. So, I mean, we're almost 100 people watching us live, and this question, any question we make here, guys, it's mostly for you. It's not just for us to analyze. So please do continue sharing your questions, and we will get to them. So we are reading them, and we will get to all of them. Before we went on air, Dimitri, there's something I told you, and I'm going to say this again. There's something I don't like about this team. I am seriously struggling to believe that Olympiacos are so bad on the pitch with so much quality players and such a good manager, an amazing manager. Okay, yes, there's better managers out there, but for Olympiacos standards, José Luis Mendilibar, Marco Silva, Ernesto Valverde, that's the best it can get. I agree. I don't get it, Dimitri. I really don't get it. The last 3 games have been dismal. And it all happened after the international break, by the way, Dimitri. Before that, we weren't great, but we got the job done. But now there's nothing. Please go ahead.
This is the difference, and I think this is the difference with the start of with the end of last season and the issue that we've seen after the international break. End of last season and start of this season, we were clinical. For every 3 or 4 chances we had, we'd score. Mm-hmm. Like, think about it. Panetolikos, I didn't watch the game against Aris, so I don't know. But today, Panetolikos and today, we had 3 clear-cut chances that if they go in, the game changes. And this is at 0-0. The game changes. And I think if we score in those moments, especially in the second half, the chance we had in the second half, I'm not necessarily talking about Rodinet's shot in the first half. I'm talking about the second half. The game turns on its head. So that's what I think is the big change, because yes, we are playing worse in certain ways and certain things are worse, but that is the big issue, in my opinion, compared to before the international break and the back end of last season. Before I throw it back to you, let's just bring in our third co-host, Labros Sirmos, who I know a lot of the people in the comments have been waiting for. There we go. We need some Labros rage για να στρώσουμε μήπως και σωθεί η χρονιά. Labro, take it away. We're not going to throw you in the deep end just yet. Don't give us full-on rage mode, but just a quick introduction.
No, he can say whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. He's the star of the podcast. You don't tell him what to do.
You guys are the stars.
Let's ease him in. Let's ease him in.
Labro, just do your thing, man. Just say whatever you want. Just go ahead, man.
No, guys, I thought Dimitris' point about the clinical nature of the team is absolutely correct. Like, we had, before the goal of Lyon, we had, I wouldn't say maybe clear cut is a bit too strong, but we had 3 to 4 good chances. And I was quite keen to see like what the XG was. And I was just looking now on Flash Score, and it was something like 1.2 for Lyon and 0.8 for us. So it's like, it's just the minor details that are missing. And, things were already very unstable at the club because of the departures of Fortounis and Podence. And there's still a lot of anger and disappointment that some of those players from last season couldn't stick around, such as Horta, Podence, and Fortounis. And I think people are sort of projecting their anger on the team right now. It's been 3 bad results post international break. Some injuries, some bad luck here and there. But it's just frustrating because the results could have been a bit better. It could have been a bit better, and the pressure would have been off. But now,
it's the Greek games. It's the Greek games. If we'd beaten Panetolikos and at least drawn against Aris, especially going 2-0 down, if we'd drawn that game 2-2 and lost today, it would have been a very different feeling.
Yeah, but I was at the Panetolikos game, and I got to tell you that we had no chance of scoring except the one time Panetolikos screwed up and the El Kabi missed on pretty much an open goal chance. But other than that, we
had a couple. Velde missed one as well, where the ball literally rolled in front of him and he just completely miskicked it.
But it's easy save for Panetolikos.
I think though the big thing is like this whole past 10 days shows how fragile it is for a manager at Olympiacos who can be a European champion, and in 10 days there can already be people like, you're finished. So it's a really difficult position for the club, difficult position for Mendilibar. It's not a crisis yet. It was difficult today. Like, it was difficult, but I honestly think the only way we put this to bed is if we go out and we do the 2 for 2. We need to go in the next week. We need to beat Atromitos. Simple as. And we need to also go and beat Braga to calm down the fan base. Like, it's going to be a really difficult 10 days. They back themselves into the corner, and we need to look at these things analytically as well. And I think Willian showed some positive things when he came on. I think that's
absolutely
really positive. Some of the crossing and some of the movement. It's really important. He's going to be an outlet that we need to create. I think he needs to start. We need to score on Sunday. It's been that fluky goal versus Aris at the end without Kabi. If it wasn't for that goal, we haven't scored in almost 3 games.
That's what I was saying in the beginning.
We nearly did that fluky goal again, to be fair, though. It was pretty much.
Yeah.
But this club can't score. Like, they're struggling to find their identity. They're struggling. The creative outlets like a Fortounis and Podence are gone. Okay, yes, they're gone. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm done complaining and reading the complaining. But they need to rediscover their identity as a team and how they're going to create, how they're going to build up, how they're going to play. And I think Panagiotis Retsos helped a lot today. I like that 3 center-back system a lot. I think the deadly flaw to it is essentially that Ortega is useless down the left-hand side. Like, Retsos has the ability, and Pirola as well, has the ability to bring the ball up and interplay a bit with Rodinei and offer something on the ball. But when you get to Ortega, there's just nothing down the left-hand side. More to the point of like Yaramchuk and the 2 strikers, I was surprised with that. And I don't think Yaramchuk was as bad as people say. I think, this is not a role I think that he succeeds in as a sec. I said it in the last episode I was on, that El Kabi and Yaramchuk are not suitable strikers to play next to each other. And that's why I wrote in our Patreon chat at halftime, I was wondering if Kostas was going to come on because he's a better partner for either one of them, to be quite frank. So we're going to see. I think when we came into the summer, we thought, okay, it's good we don't have any qualifiers, but we also need to figure out this team. We need to figure out our creative outlook. Like, how do we create? How do we build up without Fortounis and Podence? Like, it's not a fact that they're missing, we're fucked, we didn't give money, blah, blah, blah. That's a debate that we can have, but we also need to put it in the players' court. I think Panetolikos said on the post game, like he was talking on Cosmote, and he was just basically saying, like, last year was epic, but we need to. The team has a lot of the core elements, but we need to not forget about it. But we need to like create a new identity. It's a new season. We need to figure out how to create. We need to figure out how to defend better, etc., etc. I think the base is there. It's just going to take time. There's like some clear growing pain. And, it's on the manager and the players to figure it out. Like, it's going to take some time. And the freak out is not helping. The meltdowns about Fortounis and Podence on social media do not help either, about Horta. What's going to help is, like, we have 2 games at home. And Olympiacos fans are famous for the support of the team. The fans in Lyon tonight were great. But this week is like where the fans are made. Like, we need to support the team fully. Like, this is a make or break week, 10 days going into the international break. If you love Mendilibar, if you love what we did last season, like, we need to support the players. We need to support the team. They need to get through these 10 days, get to the international break and figure out some issues. Like, I urge our fans, like our match going fans, I know there's a lot of them here, like, we need to fill out the stadium. We need to support the team. It's going to be difficult week to 10 days, but that's what's most important for me. Like, we're going to figure this out. And I think we're going to figure it out by like November, October, looking at the map, the calendar, but it's just really difficult. It's going to be difficult for the manager to get to October, November without the pressure. The pressure is building massively. I feel
just a very quick one, Labro. Just very quick, because you spoke about support. And Nick here, who joined us, he wants a quick answer. Why only a couple of players went to salute the fans after the game ended? Did you guys notice anything? I didn't catch that.
The broadcast cut it for.
Yeah, I was watching it on English TV, so it cut straight after the game.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but like, I mean, if it is true, then let's not make a big deal out of this, because sometimes this does happen. I don't necessarily agree with it. Win or lose or draw, you should just go and salute 100%, the fans. But 100%. And plus, like, I don't know if it happened. I need to check my sources. So but let's not make a big deal.
David Carmo in the post game was like saying how great the fans are and the traveling fans deserved more, and he was giving all credit to them. So I've been in the stadium away when the players didn't come after. I remember in Frankfurt when we lost, I think it was 3-1 in the pouring rain. Kostas Yanis was there with me, with his dad, with friends. And the players didn't come to us after the game. They like went on the touchline on like the halfway and they clapped towards us and they didn't come. And it was like absolutely devastating. So for the fans in Lyon, if they didn't come, like, I understand that feeling. It feels like shit when you've lost your voice and traveled and taken time off work, and then the players can't even come over to fucking clap you off. But anyway, whether that happened or not, I've been there, so it's difficult. Anyway, I think the main thing here is we need to find solutions. Like, for the manager is not on, the hot seat, so to speak. I think people are kind of like, we need solutions, but we need some time to figure it out. We need some time to figure it out. And clearly Gelson Martins being injured, Masouras being injured does not help. But, we have
why we went for a 3-4-3, 3-5-2. Sorry, that's why we went with a 3-5-2.
This is what Mendilibar said. Without Gelson and Masouras, he felt more comfortable with that. But
Well, I mean, let's just get this out of the way. Hands off Mendilibar. Anyone even considering the idea of Jose Luis Mendilibar leaving the club, jog on. Seriously, jog
Well, he's got to
on.
find
This is not
solutions
happening.
too. It can't be just like he. This is Olympiacos. The pressure is massive. Like, we already know what this place is, and it's his job to find solutions.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, I don't know if you heard me what I just said. I think it was before you joined.
Go
A
ahead.
club like Olympiacos, managers like Mendilibar, Marcos Silva, and Ernesto Valverde are as best as it gets. Because if Mendilibar leaves, the likeliest replacement is a Diego Martinez slash what was that guy called, the Kosovan guy
Carvajal.
again?
Oh,
Or Carvalhal. Yes,
We can't
those
be
are the likeliest
afraid
candidates.
in treating Mendilibar like a god. Like, we need to. Like,
He's
I don't want to fire him, like, by any means. I don't want people, but like, he needs to figure it out. Like, he has shown that he's a very good manager, and we have to give him the faith and support to figure this out, because he's in a very difficult position with trying to
Gabriel.
replace our two creative outlets from last season. It's a difficult job. Like, he's in a difficult position. The players are in a difficult position. They're learning how to play with each other. Some of them, to be honest, 8 out of 11 of them played together in that final in May.
8, yes, and the manager was
Yeah.
there. And guys, we were at the Hagia Sophia. All three of us were at the Hagia Sophia. Okay, Potenza and Fortuny sucked in that final. And let me tell you one thing: football is a game. Potenza only had one good shot. Let me tell you, football is a game of narratives. And sorry, Dimitri, because you also need to speak. Let me tell you, I'm giving you a scenario. Let's say we lost that Panathinaikos game. I was at Leoforos. It was a very close one. Let's say we lost that game. We would have finished 4th, which means you got to win the conference. Let's say we lost the final with Fortunis and Potenza sucking like they did. Do you think the fans would still treat them as heroes? Well, not the fans, a section. Do you think people would be treating them as heroes or villains?
It's all on a knife edge. That's football. That's life, So.
What do you think, Dimitri? You were there in the final.
I need to address something very quickly.
Go ahead.
That was just a few months ago, right? We cannot get rid of everything and just destroy everything and just say Mendilibar needs to fix this ASAP or else it's gone, right? We have to get out of this Greek mentality. You would never see. Okay, take. Sorry, I know I keep using Liverpool as an example, but they're the team in England. Take Liverpool as an example. Take Liverpool as an example in the 2020-2021 season. They've just won the league for the first time in 30 years. And then in February, halfway through the season, they go from 1st to 5th because they've lost about 6 home games in a row. But no one was calling for Klopp to go. Because they know who Klopp is, because they know what he can do. This is the thing with Mendilibar. If there's a whole season and we have a really bad season, I get it. But we can't just have a quick fix and go, oh my God, there's been 3 bad results. Let's get rid of him. It doesn't. I just can't see how that's a normal explanation. Or even if the next results are bad and we have a bad time until the international break, it's still not time for him to go. And my dad, who doesn't really watch football, he was watching the game with me, and he asked me something about Mendilibar. He came on TV, and he goes, "Oh, is that the Olympiacos coach?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's Mendilibar." He goes, "Is that the one who won the Conference League last year?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, they're not going to fucking get rid of him. I mean, I know Olympiacos gets rid of their managers quickly, but this guy won the fucking Conference League. He should have a statue outside of Karaiskakis. They shouldn't be getting rid of him within a month of the season starting." This is
strong
how
case for best manager ever.
Bro, in my lifetime, no one has ever given me this happiness that Mendilibar has. I don't care what he does going forwards. Like, that happiness is just there. Obviously, we can't make anyone into a god. Yes, I get it. But the season literally started a month ago. Now, if we have a bad season, and by Olympiacos' standards, that's not winning the league and not getting through to at least the
The knockouts. Let's call it the knockouts.
the second seed. Yeah, no, not the first to eighth, but ninth
Top
to
24
24th or whatever.
Top 24. Yeah.
If
top
we don't get
24.
into that section and we don't win the league and we don't win the cup, yes, that's a bad season. Next summer, fair game. Big assessment, big decisions to make. But right now, this man has the benefit, I think, of the whole season. He could be playing Zolakis up front for all I care right now. Yes, you can criticize him. Yes, we can say things need to change, how he plays, but we can't say he needs to go because he's earned the right to do what he wants to do, in my opinion, even if it's not working. And I think we need to get out of that mentality. And it's the same with a lot of these players. Like, I was hearing people criticizing Rodinei the other day. I think it was Martial, actually, that was criticizing Rodinei.
It's a shitty crossing that pisses Martial off, mostly.
And I was just there, like, bro, I was like, last season, I think he was arguably our most consistent player. Like, he's earned the right to have a bad few months, which I don't think he has. He hasn't been bad, because I thought today, alongside Pirola and Retsos, people are going to kill me for this, he was our best player. Pirola, Retsos, and Rodinei, in my opinion, were our best players. Okay, that's a whole different topic we're going to discuss further on. But it's stuff like this that we can't just jump and call for people's heads straight away. This is literally the same team that 4 months ago gave us the best night of our lives. Like, honestly, the best moments of our lives.
We just have to figure out how to rework it. Like,
exactly. The changes need to be made in style of play, in who plays where, in who plays or how they play. Yes, I'm all for that, and I'm all for the criticism in changing those things. My issue is calling for their heads. I can't believe that. I'm against that. Now, calling for a decent competition to Ortega, yes, of course. Of course we need someone to compete with him. If Mendilibar doesn't trust Apostolopoulos to compete with Ortega, and Ortega has no competition and doesn't give a shit if he plays shit because his place is secure, then yes, that's a problem. But I would never call for Ortega's head, because at the same time, there are moments where I'm just like, shit, he's such an upgrade to some of the left backs we've had over recent periods, even though, I know people disagree with me, because I've had people on the Patreon group going, how is he so much better than Reabciuk? Reabciuk was better. And it's just like, I can't even discuss this. But it's stuff like this, that the changes that we need to make, in my opinion, are elsewhere. They're not for getting rid of people. That's where I am.
No.
Just to say one thing about the signings. How many of them were Mendilibars? To be honest, guys, like, I think I spent years in this podcast saying that the Olympiacos need to get like a sporting director, a technical director, a CEO, those kind of things. Yes, and I still believe they should, but that's not how Marinakis works. We tried it with Cordon, didn't even last 6 months. We tried it with Pedro Alves, who came over for Frappe and then left. That's not how Marinakis works.
It's Freddo Espresso, Freddo Cappuccino nowadays. You're showing your age, Costa. Frappe, no one drinks Frappe.
No, I drink Freddo Cappuccino, but I thought Frappe might, have a better ring to it. Probably I was wrong, but that's not how Marinakis works. At Nottingham Forest, at Olympiacos, there is a method to the madness. I mean, look at Nottingham Forest right now. They're undefeated in the Premier League.
They're playing good.
Seasons, coming this close to relegation, and we won a European title. So there's a method to the madness. He's won so many titles, so forget about all that. And to be honest with you, like, I'm done judging who brought who, because at the end of the day, Marinakis has proven there is a method to the madness.
I think that's fair, Costa. Like, there's many times where we've criticized, but I also think Marinakis, and this is not the right time to say it. Like, I think he's like figuring out this multi-club system more and more as things go along, and understanding the role of football and how to make transfers. So I was watching on the American telecast before I switched over to the Greek one, and there was the man, and this has been communicated by the club to us. The club got rid of 35 players this summer. Like, let that sink in. And they brought in 9. They got rid of 35, or 35 left. They brought in 9.
And we have the fewest. We have the fewest low knees in years.
The the squad, I remember we used to do this analysis in January with Carlos Carvajal, where we went through the roster with players who were A, either on loan, or B, had their contracts running out. And there was only, I think, 12 players on the team after
I
you
remember
got
that
rid
show.
of the loan. You remember that one?
I remember that show. I think Costa was going through all of them and just going, contract ends, loan ends, contract ends, loan ends. Oh,
Yeah.
we have 3 players and 2 teenagers.
It
That
was
pretty much the conversation.
it was a very difficult, like low-key, a very difficult summer for Olympiacos and Olympiacos management. I think, and people upset with the business done this summer, like at the club this summer, Darko Kovacevic and, the club in general, they need to redirect their anger at the past 3 years, like not this summer, but the years before, because those were where the mistakes were made. There's only limits to what you can do when you fuck up signings that bad. And I'm thinking back to the conversation we had with Kostas Karapapas when we talked about like financial fair play. I don't know why. It's not talked about in Greek media, but it's like a real limit. If you just look at sales out and people brought in, including managers, like it's clear that we tapped the line with the financial fair play, and it's limited the sales we can do. We haven't had a big sale like PAOK with Kouimtsidis or Ike with Ponce. So our hands were tied behind our back. And also I see this comment from Alex shitting on me. Hold on. Let me pull that up.
Put it up.
I still remember Labro claiming that our roster was looking pretty good and didn't need any additions. So, this is a funny comment. So I think the roster is very good. Like I will do what Kostas with a C did and go through the roster. But I do think we needed 1 or 2 more creative players. Like I see the club decided not to do that, and it's critical of it. And I also analyzed the roster. I said this on last episode. I think it was against Aris. And I said, when I analyzed the roster and when I was happy with the roster and I decided I think it was better than last year, which it is better than fucking last year. Like, I think it's better than last year.
And the year before.
It's close because, we still need to figure out the creativity because it's killer. I thought the youngsters were going to, like, for sure be pictured into that. They were in the squad list today. They were there. Like, if they're incorporated, I think those young players are better, better pieces. Like, when you go into the pieces individually, we literally have 8 of the 11 from the final. And we've upgraded certain parts. Instead of Kini, we have Costinha, like things like that. Instead of Navarro, who was tragic, we got Yeramchuk, who's like an experienced international. And who were our wingers last season, guys? Our wingers last season were Podens, Fortunis, and Masuras. Like, who were the other wingers? Like,
can I ask you though, Labro? Can I ask you though?
Go ahead.
The fact that we're bringing Unas in, the fact that Unas is coming in, and maybe we're going to get Yazici as well.
The club is admitting that they fucked up in the summer. To
there
me,
you go.
the signing admits
that was my question. Isn't that an admission of failure?
It's an admission that they failed in the creative. Like, I agree with everyone in the comments. Like, I think they needed to make, on top of Willian and Oliveira, they needed to make 1 or 2 more creative signing players. Like, that was my opinion as the window closed. So I understand like why they're trying to sign a player right now for that position, because I think they needed 1 more or 2 more creative players. But like position by position, if we go through it, we analyze things, we have more depth, like with Pirola at central defense. Like, we're better at central defense. We're better at right back with Costinha as a backup. Like, in the midfield, we still have Chiquinho. We still have Heze. We did Oliveira is Oliveira, I think, will turn out to be a good player. The complex part is the complex part for the team is replacing Ibora, who was central to our success in Europe and turning the team around, and figuring out the creative element.
I spoke about that, the lack of number 6. I spoke about that during the summer transfer window, and that worried me.
I fear that for as much as we defend Mendy Libar, his decision on Danny Garcia could be a culprit in like one of his failures, because Danny Garcia is not Ibora, man. was not Ibora. I'm like,
And
unfortunately.
he singled them out. He singled them out after Aris, didn't he, already?
Yeah. So I'm disappointed. I hope Dani Garcia, he's an experienced player, can turn things around.
Ibora started really badly.
But
let's not
I think
forget.
the thing I'm trying to say, the thing I'm trying to underline is I think we have the tools at play to figure this out. Like that's my biggest part. Like I think we have the players to figure it out. And I hope and I trust Mendilibar that he will figure it out. So that's my main point. Like because I think there's a lot of quality in this team. Like I think there's a lot of quality and it's very negative right now and people are very upset, but like I truly believe we have quality in this team. Am I looking forward to Adam Yunas playing? No.
He can't play in Europe. Third straight year that we're going to have at least one player in the squad
It doesn't matter.
Play in Europe.
It doesn't matter, Kostas. Like when you watch these European games, like the squad doesn't need to be too big. You need like 15 players, 16 players, you know. You don't the shit with the 5 subs has changed people's mentality for European football. You don't need that many players. We have enough players in Europe, like in the European list to go through, to be the, top 24. We have that. We have the quality to do it. We're one of the 24 best teams in this Europa League qualifying group. Like you can look at the analytics, you can look at the data, you can look at like, I don't know what people like to do. Look at the transfer market, squad value, whatever. We should have the quality to go through. The manager will figure it out. If we support him, if he can get through this next 10 days. If he can get through the 10 days. But go on.
I want to ask both of you, and I'd like to start with Dimitris as well. And Dimitri, if anything you want to add, please do. I want to talk about the youth. Babis Kostoulas came on in the second half, almost scored a wonder goal. Lovely overhead kick that missed by this much. So he did very well, much better than Roman Yaremchuk. People are correctly saying that. I feel like that probably starting 2 very identical strikers wasn't a good idea because you need someone a little quicker, little smaller, little that can do different things than
he was very positive.
He was very positive, Babis Kostoulas. So Dimitri, I want your opinion about Babis Kostoulas, and I want your opinion in the youth because I feel like Olympiacos cannot screw this up, and I'm going to explain to you later. So Dimitri, take it away.
First of all, I completely agree. It's so obvious that you can't have 2 big men playing like that together, 2 target men. We're not in the fucking 2000s anymore where you're playing 4-4-2 and you have 2 big strikers just waiting for the ball together. It just doesn't suit the style of play that football is nowadays. You need one and then a second who's running off him. You need that fluidity in attack. And with 2 players like Yaremchuk and El Kabi, it's just static. And it just doesn't work. And if it wasn't Kostoulas, then my perfect example is someone like Masouras. I love Masouras in that fake sort of behind the striker position where he just has the freedom to just go anywhere, go put a foot in, get the second shot after it's blocked or something like that.
Masouras would have been great in the second striker role tonight.
Exactly. I love Masouras, and Kostoulas did that much better. But you see it with all the top teams, the way that if you have strikers that complement each other, their play styles, it's a thing of beauty. It really works really, really well. And that's the thing that I was shocked today when I saw that formation. And that was the most shocking thing for me, not everything else, because I know people are having an issue with, the wing backs or saying Ortega's not good enough to play wing back or the Dani Garcia starting in midfield. For me, it's that strike partnership. So Kostoulas, I thought was really good. Well, really good in the sense of the game that we watched, because he wasn't mind-blowing. He was just better than what we had before. The overhead kick took some balls. I loved it. He took that really, really well. He was unlucky. I think he hit that brilliantly. The technique was great. It's just a tiny bit unlucky. And if he'd scored that goal on his European debut at the
goal of the season,
yeah, and
in the Europa League.
Still as a teenager, I would have been like, yo, Real Madrid, I don't care. I'm calm. If you want to go to the fucking Bernabeu, then you go for it, mate. That was an incredible goal. So yeah, when it comes down to him, I think that was a correct substitution. But my issue is, does Mendilibar or does a manager have the balls to start the youngsters? Well, the youth. I know people don't like us calling them youngsters because they're like 18, 19, 17. And the people are calling for players like Papakanellos and Moussakidis and stuff like that. It's tricky. It's for me, it's, does the player have the playing style that suits what we want to play in that situation? Yes, then play them. Are they just going to be coming on and taking the place of someone else and doing the exact same thing? Then maybe don't play them. For me, it's that. If it's a like-for-like swap, then I don't want it. But if it's something different and makes the team click better in that way, then yeah, trust them. Give him a shot. Although at the same time, it's what I said in the group chat on the Patreon group. This is why you need to join the Patreon group. You get inside chats. My thinking behind this is, right, most people are very disappointed with today's performance. Actually, everyone's disappointed with today's performance. No one's happy. Some people are just less pissed than others. So everyone's upset with today's performance. Let's say the hate, not the hate, but the bad comments that players like Yaremchuk and Ortega are getting. Let's say he played Kostoulas or Apostolopoulos instead, and they're the ones who had a bad game or didn't perform the way you're expecting them to perform, and they're getting this sort of have this target on their backs, like people calling, oh, he shouldn't, why are we seeing him play again? Like, we should never be seeing him play ever again. Then that's why I think, in a way, I'm glad he doesn't start them in these sort of big games. Now, Atromitos is a completely different story. In the Greek league, unless it's a big derby, I'm fully on board with you playing any of them, however much you want. In Europe and the big derbies, I think he needs to protect them. So I think Kostoulas coming on in the 60th minute is the correct decision in this case. I wouldn't have played Yaremchuk and Elkabi together. I would have played someone else, but it wouldn't have been Kostoulas. Masouras would have been perfect. He was fit. He can't play. Fine, fair enough. I'm surprised he didn't start Velde or Willian or something like that. But that's a different story. But yeah, I wouldn't have started Kostoulas, but happy he came on.
Go on, Kostas.
Well, yeah. Sorry about that, Labro.
No, go.
Well, the thing is that in the new FFP world that we're just getting to know, we're still getting to know this. I feel like Olympiacos' biggest mistake was not losing Fortounis, Podens, and Andre Horta without replacing them, or without replacing them in quotation marks. The biggest, let's say, tragedy is that Olympiacos never got to sell the big signings, the investment signings from Africa. Madi Kamara, Agibu Kamara, Papa Boussisse, and Ousseynou Ba. I feel like that was not even a mistake. It just didn't work out. If we were hearing that each one of them were going to go for 50 million a pop, Kamara was being linked with big clubs. I know for a fact that Cisse and Agibu were linked with Premier League clubs. It didn't work out. Madi left on a free, and the other three left for a packet of biscuits. If they had left for good money, right now, all four of them, or three of them, or at least two of them, then Olympiacos would have been much better financial fair play wise. Which is why I think it is imperative that Olympiacos don't mess up with the youngsters right now, with the youth league team. They cannot mess up with Babis Kostoulas, especially Babis Kostoulas, Moussakidis, Bakoulas, Papakanellos. They need to work at Olympiacos. Olympiacos need to sell. They didn't sell anyone this summer. Anyone who left for a packet of peanuts. Reapchuk is the most recent big sell Olympiacos had, and it wasn't even a big deal. So guys, Olympiacos cannot screw up this youth. Olympiacos need to sell. In the FFP world, you gotta sell to buy. So Labro, having said all that, what do you make of Babis Kostoulas' performance?
No, I want to go back to something you said. Like, one of the difficulties with the young players, specifically the midfield centric ones, Moussakidis and Bakoulas, is that they're not in a position to help. Again, it's a weird way of saying it. Like, we are fine set up with Eze and Chiquinho right now. Like, I don't think they're going to come in and replace them and make the difference. What we need is to establish someone in that Ibora position to give stability to the squad as well. Because we need to figure out, I think the two biggest things we need to figure out are the six and the creative issues, like the creativity
I
issues.
fully agree.
And so can the youth be helpful in that? Yes. Like, I think Kostula showed a lot of positive things. I think he's very positive. Like, he drives forward, he holds the ball well, he clearly has a good touch. So I think looking forward, what I want to see and what will demonstrate to me we can get out of this situation, this rut, is we need to coalesce around someone at the six. We need to figure that position out. Whether it's Dani Garcia, whether it's Stamanic, whether it's Oliveira, or whether for fucking me, it's Andrea Doi needs to be the fucking six, man.
Man like Doi.
I know, like, people would have seen the lineup today and they'd say, like, oh my God, there's 4 central defenders on the pitch. But Doi, man, is a cleaner. He's a fucking leg breaker in the midfield. He wins the ball. He wins tackles. He's too risky to play at the back. And we don't need him to play at the back, in my opinion. And so
what about
but let me just finish this one point real quick.
Let's let Labro finish.
The thing that I think can save this situation in the midfield is not Dani Garcia, it's not Stamanic, it's moving Doi to the 6 and replacing him in that position. And I think that would bring a lot of clarity. He's good on the ball, he can pass, his dribbling's decent. You have now Rezos, Carmo / Pirola, who was fantastic today. You have the base, and you really just have to figure out this creative issue. Like, Willian showed characteristics that maybe he can do something, but it's going to be a collective effort to figure this out, and that's what I think is positive. Can the youngsters help? Yes. But I think the youngsters are also not the answer because they're not in the positions to save us. Papacanelos, I've read, needs to play. Where is he? I wasn't very impressed with him in preseason. I think he needs time to play on loan somewhere. If anything, I think he was the one who wasn't ready for showtime. But, if he can become a solution, why not try it? We're out on Willian, we're out on Gelson. Or we're out on Gelson, we're out on Masouras. We need options. We need to try. We need to tinker. We need to figure this out. We need some solutions. And the manager is going to be in training. He's going to be the one who knows better. He's going to be watching these guys, and he's going to try to figure this out. He's going to try. He has, in my opinion, he has the ingredients. Like, will he be able to cook something good with it? I hope it's not as negative as we put it out to be. So.
Just a little question I need to answer. Is Zelson going to be available for Braga? Probably not. He's training for a full. He's working on a full recovery in time to face Panathinaikos, which is the next game after Braga. So it's Atromitos, Braga, Panathinaikos. We're probably not going to have Zelson Martins. Dimitri, there was something you wanted to add.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say this: in like over a year that I've known Labro now, that might be the best thing I think I've heard him say, and the most I agree with him. Both at the 6 and the creativity are the things that we need to address first. That, in my opinion, at least the short-term solution is Ndoi at the 6, because he is a cleaner, he's a sweeper, he's too volatile at the back. At the 6 position, to me, he provides me the most confidence compared to the others that we've seen in that position so far. Now, so I fully back, and I have nothing more to add. I fully back all that he's just said. I just wanted to interject because of this comment. It goes back to what I was talking about before, and people jumping on the youngsters' backs. Now, Concept Calcio is talking about Gate 7 chanting about Apostolopoulos on his debut. How many players do they do that for? Yes, but Olympiacos fans are also the fans that are calling for Ndoi's head, and they were calling for Rezos' head. And these are young players. They weren't calling for them when they're like 35 and they've had 10 years playing at Olympiacos, right? Forget about Masouras. Masouras is older. Masouras has had many, many, many years. Do you remember what happened to Rezos after the Aris game 2 years ago? The kid was like 24. Or Ndoi last year. How old's Ndoi? 20. How old is Ndoi? 22?
21, 22.
Do you know what I mean? I fully disagree with this comment because we can be very, very, I don't want to say bad fans, but unappreciative at moments. And I have no faith in them not turning on some of the youngsters if things go bad. Because just because they chant for Apostolopoulos on his debut, it doesn't mean that if things go wrong and he has 2 or 3 bad games, that they're not gonna start saying bad stuff, and that could really harm them. And again, I'll use the examples: Retsos and Ndoi. Okay, and at some points last season, I'm pretty sure I was hearing, "Oh, I don't know if Zoulakis I have enough faith in him," which it wasn't too bad. They were just saying about faith. But if it had gone bad, let's say, touch wood, thank God, but let's say Zoulakis fucked it in either against Fenerbahce or Villa or against Fiorentina in the final. Fiorentina, let's say Zoulakis has like a Karius game that he did for Liverpool. My God.
He had the goal he conceded against Diaby at Villa. He was at fault, Zoulakis.
Yeah. But this is the thing. So I fully disagree with this comment, and I just want to go back to that because I worry. I worry about these players and about their mental health sometimes and about their careers going forward because it takes a lot of heart and courage and balls to deal with Olympiacos fans sometimes. And this is why I have so much respect for players like Retsos, Masouras, and Ndoi because they've heard some shit. They've really heard some shit. And do you know what? They just come out there and they give it their all. And again, I'm gonna shout Retsos' praises again because I thought he was great today. I know we conceded twice, but the best players for me were those 3 in defense: Retsos, Pirola, and Rodinei. I thought they were great. But yeah, that's where I don't know where we were going post that because I brought the discussion back to a previous.
No, but I think now we need to look forward and think about solutions. Like I think the manager has to. Also, this thing about like who is going to be the creator. We are so all in on Willian. You know, the guy played like 35 games in the Premier League this season. Pressure is on this fucking guy, but he needs to start on the weekend, and he needs to fucking turn it on. Like, because we're paying him a lot of money. I know he just got here, but this is why we're paying you the fucking money. He needs to go and basically win the game. He needs to fucking make sure we score on the weekend. Like Willian is going to be so important to this turnaround. Like if Willian cannot do it, we're going to be in trouble, in my opinion. Like we put our cards all in on Willian. And also Velde, who didn't get a big run out today. Like, we need to fucking play Chiquinho deeper. We need to play Heze at the 6. And we need to play Willian at the 10. Velde. Like, we need to fucking go for it this weekend. We need to score. We need to score. Like, we need solutions in creativity. And I hope Mendilibar is more aggressive. Like, he needs to realize that he needs to score in this game. He needs to win. And I think if he wins by 2 or more goals, like, it will be a massive boost to the fans and to morale, even if it's just Atromitos. Like, even though it's just Atromitos. Like, they do not have a bad team, by the way. They have Van Vaart at striker. They have our friend Kini. Like, it's not going to be fucking easy going this weekend. It's not going to be easy going, but we need it. And then versus Braga, who I was reading in our chat has struggled quite a bit against, was it Maccabi?
They drew 1-1. Yeah, they drew 1-1.
Old friends.
I don't know how to say this. Like, this week, so early in the season, is fucking massive. Massive. It is so big. I've been very positive with the business the club has done. I've been positive about the roster because I honestly believe the roster's very good. Like, and maybe I'm an idiot. Like, maybe I'm going to turn into an idiot. I still have questions about a few players who will make or break the team, but fuck's sake, Pirola, what a buy for 3 million euros, guys. Like, what a great player. What a good we were playing fucking Jackson Porozo and Freire last season. Like, important stuff, man. Like signing a player like Pirola may be like a bit of a joke or like whatever. Okay, it doesn't mean anything, but like that's a really quality signing. That's a really quality signing. We just need some of these players to turn up. We like the vacation is over. Like, you know what I mean? Like the honeymoon is over. They also need to play for the manager. Like just like the fans need to support the manager. Some of these players, you know, they got to play real hard for the manager.
Last season after the final, I went out on Sky Sports, and I had a tiny little chat with the presenter while on air about because at some point I compared this triumph to Greece winning Euro 2004, and she asked me, and it was very normal. She asked me, why didn't Greece, do anything else after Euro 2004? And I immediately remembered the hangover after we won Euro 2004. Our first official game was a 2006 World Cup qualifier in Albania, and we lost 2-1 in a very bad performance. And I remember I mentioned that on Sky Sports, and I said that I am worried about the hangover because Olympiacos are an inexperienced team when it comes to making it far in Europe. And when I mean making it far, the last 16 is not far. It starts with quarterfinals onwards when we're talking far. And I was worried that they would copy Greece's, I don't know, development after that. I don't think development is a good word, because I remember last summer when we completed 20 years since we won Euro 2004. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. And I am a huge supporter of what Greece did in Euro 2004. Anyone who tells me, oh, it was a fluke, whatever, they're beyond stupid. I just don't care anymore. I just want to see Greece doing well. So that's something that worried me with Olympiacos. I was just hoping Olympiacos would not sit on that and then 20 years later just keep saying, oh, remember when El Kabi scored that goal at Hagia Sophia at Ajax home? I'm not going to care in 20 years' time. So this is something this is something I hope Olympiacos are going to learn from. I hope Olympiacos are on top of it. I loved it when Marinakis said last season, we are now targeting Bilbao, the final in Bilbao. I loved it when I heard it. I don't expect Olympiacos to be in the final, but I loved it. But I just hope that we do not replicate the Elinario/Greekness of the Greece national team that won Euro 2004, and then was like a case of, we're going to talk about it till the day we die, and we don't care what we do until then.
We need to find solutions. Like all the talk about Fortounis, Podence last year will fucking end if we can start getting some results. If we can start getting some results, like we will put it to bed. So I just want to support the manager now. I believe in the manager that he can turn it around. I've been worried, coming into this season, I was worried. Martial and I talked a lot about this over the summer. Like there were some signs there against Greek opposition that he was struggling to find it out, like in the dominant, when you look at Mendilibar's CV, he's like never been in the team that is the dominant favorite, who's supposed to have the ball, create, do that sort of thing. Like that wasn't the position he was always in. And I was worried about in Greek league games, how are we going to figure this out? Because Fortounis was here a decade, man. He could like open Lamia's defense with his eyes closed. Like that is what he was good at for me. Like that among other things, that 10 years of experience is gone. Podence leaving hurts. But for the league and for Greece, what really hurts is Fortounis and his creativity and ability to unlock teams. He's like a Valbuena-esque player. But anyway, all of this is to say we're going to see very clearly whether Willian can contribute shortly. We're going to have to see. Velde as well. Like there's a lot of pressure on these guys. And Willian, I hope he can figure it out. Like I hope he can. The guy's really experienced. He's played in tough places.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there, done that. Does he still have
Europa
it?
League twice.
Yet, does he still have it at 36? Like people here in this chat are calling him finished. He doesn't look finished to me. He looks like the same player.
Not at all.
He
Not at
literally
all.
looks like when I watch Willian, I'm just like he looks and plays and moves the same way. Like I'm going to say this quietly. I never really fucking liked Willian as a player. Like, I really didn't like him ever. I didn't love the way he plays. Like, don't say that, but I'm hopeful he has quality that he can figure this out, and that's my opinion. If we really shit the bed here, and we're very positive here. If we go and we draw with Atromitos, we lose with Braga, we lose with Panathinaikos, Mendilibar is fucking done. It's over. Even if he wins Atromitos, loses Braga, loses Panathinaikos, he could be fucking done too. So we just need, like, as a club, as a fan base, this next week to 10 days is so big. Like, I don't want to see this shit with the fans chanting Potence's name or chanting bullshit. Like, they need to go out there and they need to chant Willian's name. They need to chant Velde's name. We really, I think when we get the fame and glory as Olympiacos fans, it's like a lot of time at the environment in Europe, what goes viral. But this week is what makes us as fans for me. Like, if we can get behind the team, if we can sell out the stadium and we can support these guys and drive them to a win, that's what makes Olympiacos special to me. And I really hope that we can go and push on and put this all to bed, and I'm confident the manager will find solutions. He's going to be more aggressive and the players will too. And I hope the fans show up and support us. So that's it. That's all I've got for this evening. I don't have much more to say. So
what about you, Dimitri? Any final thoughts before we move to coach's grade and man of the match?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's probably about 50 comments I want to quickly rush through and just be like,
Go ahead. Do that.
I mean, there's
and
so
read
much
them
stuff.
read them for the audio listeners.
Yeah, like there's so much stuff. Like, where does one even start? They're just people talking about, okay, so people talking about Willian playing as a 10 or playing as a winger, right? Today he came on as a winger. If a player of his quality with the ball at his feet has the space, has the time, he can create that magic that we need to break low block defenses. In my opinion, I think a player like Willian is perfect for the Greek league because he is at his age now. He's not a fast winger that's going to go like that, but he's going to create off a static opportunity like he did with that with the goal that went in today. Like, he just had a couple of seconds on the ball and just whipped it in. Great ball. That was a great ball. And that defender couldn't do anything apart from the ball in his net. And that's the thing. With a low block defense, you're going to have time because they sit so far back. You're going to have time to whip it in or create some magic. And I think someone like Willian really suits that style of play. So yes, he's not a 10, but at the same time, if you have players, if you have Velde one side, Gelson or Masouras on the other side, and why not try Willian behind El Kabi to maybe thread the needle or do something, create some magic. A player like that can, I'm not talking in Europe and I'm not talking about big opposition, but a game like Atromitos, for example, if they sit back, you need a player like that. Now, what else? This comment, Pirola is a revelation. What a prospect. I fully agree. I thought he was great. I understand why he came off when he did, but some of the blocks, incredible. Yeah. Some of the ways he was coming out and just blocking, same as Retsos as well. But the two of them were just like, it reminded me like watching Olof Mellberg. Like it was beautiful, just putting the bodies in the way. It was great. It was great to see. What else? A lot of people were talking about the players that came in compared to the players that left, like, for example, but Kostas touched on this and I fully agree. It was during the point where the two of you were chatting, so I was having a second back, but like Kini being replaced by someone like Ostinha, brilliant. Mm-hmm. Like that's an upgrade signing. Yes, we haven't upgraded our backup left back. Yes, I agree. Or we haven't upgraded the players who Potencia and Fortunis left. We haven't upgraded or replaced them. Yes, I get that. But in other places, we have. What else? There you go. Endoi / Stamenic equals Ibora. Moussakitis equals Horta.
I don't know what that
I-
means.
I think the style of play. I think they mean that the way that
They're
player
the
is,
same,
body
yeah.
type,
Doi and
the way
Stamenic are
they are.
like Ibora,
I see.
Mousakitis like
I
Horta.
agree. I agree. And Doi is a similar sort of player to Ibora, taller, larger, and just a sweeper. Not necessarily as gifted as a 6, as someone who can create, but someone who can be that sort of classic CDM, a defensive midfielder, which is what Ibora was. Which is why I agreed so much with what Labro was saying earlier about how Ndoi, for me, at least at the moment, is the answer to the number 6 situation, just at this moment in time. Oh, God. Okay, last one. In January, let's say we have a 20 million offer for Heze. Do we sell?
Easily.
Oof.
Yesterday.
We have
This
to.
is literally,
We have to. We have
literally
to.
what you guys were talking about earlier that we should have done. 20
have
million? Yes.
You know
20
what's
million
going to
we
piss? You know what pisses everyone off, but I will say it. In the summer, we sell him for 25 to Nottingham Forest. That's going to piss everyone off.
I mean,
but that is how a football empire works, right? Like when Man City has a good player, where do they have that club in France where they took the Brazilian kid from? They're not going to fucking sell him, the Brazilian kid who's playing at their team in France, to PSG, right? Like this is an example, right? So for it, like, Heze is going to attract offers from the Premier League. Forest should take Heze in the summer and alleviate us of the financial fair play issues for 25 million euros, which he is worth.
Well,
that's the conversation that nobody's ready for. Not tonight, maybe not ever.
I think that's very likely.
But it's the most logical thing, and it makes a lot of sense for all parties involved, and would be one of the first, hopefully successful transfers that we demonstrate between the two clubs. But that's a conversation for another time, and would do us a lot of good.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I don't know what's going to happen in the next summer. Obviously, this is a very good point, Labro. But how did Eze fare tonight? So we always close with man of the match and coach is great. I'm going to go first. I am going to say that my man of the match was Panagiotis Retsos, who came back from an injury, and he was very positive at the back. Some very good blocks, some very good defending, very good positioning, helped a lot in the build-up, which is something Olympiacos missed a lot. Let's face it, the center-back partnership is Retsos and Carmo. Obviously, Lorenzo Pirola is going to play a big part in Olympiacos' future and, well, this season. Hopefully, he didn't. Hopefully, that little point where he went down and we all thought to ourselves, oh, God, okay, he has relapsed. There's another injury. He continued the game. So my man of the match is Panagiotis Retsos. And when it comes to coach's grade, I'm afraid it's an F because it's obvious that Mendilibar hasn't figured a lot of important things out. He was very frustrated during the match, yelling a lot to his players because I feel like the players didn't really get what it was that he wanted them to do with that 3-5-2 formation that he started for the first time during his still short reign at Olympiacos. Remember, the guy came to Olympiacos in February. It still hasn't been 12 months.
Less than a pregnancy away. Less than a pregnancy.
Incredible.
That's put into perspective.
Why not? So yeah, I'm going to give him an F because another dismal display, in my opinion. A very disappointing display. We were not playing against Real Madrid. Lyon were dealing with a lot of problems. A very bad start to the season. It does kind of feel like we rejuvenated them. And Labro, you're absolutely right. Like, we need a very big win against Atromitos. A 1-0 or a 2-0 won't suffice. And then Braga and Panathinaikos need to be beaten. So over to you, Jose Luis Mendilibar. And Dimitri, man of the match, coach is great. And comment section, give us your man of the match and coach is great.
So, man of the match for me, I'm just going to go. Retsos is up there. He's one of the two that I was thinking of. The only reason I'm going to go for the other one is just to have a bit of variety in case, because I don't know what Labro's going to go for. But my man of the match is Rodinei. However, I agree with everything you said about Retsos, and I fully back that. I thought he was incredible, and that was his first game back with injury. I don't think he is injured. It looked like cramp. It looked like tiredness. Right. The reason why I'm going for Rodinei, I think Rodinei, arguably, is the player that thrives most in this 3-5-2 system. I was saying it last year as well. I think Rodinei can play the entire wing on his own. He can play right back and right wing for Olympiacos. He is the perfect style of play. He's that explosive fullback that is more offensive-minded than defensive-minded, that a 3-5-2 works brilliantly for, and works so well for Olympiacos, because Olympiacos is, just like we've been saying, need to be on the front foot. Olympiacos is not a team that sits back. We need to attack, and Mendilibar needs to understand that we have to go, especially in the Greek league. We have to go at these teams. Even if we're going to concede, we're going to score. Even if the reason is he wants to keep it tight at the back and not concede, if you concede a goal to Lamia, you're probably going to score 4, theoretically, if you go all out attack. Right. And Rodinei, I think, works that, like, you compare Rodinei to Ortega, is just the epitome of a player that suits the system, the 3-5-2 really well, and a player that doesn't. And I thought Rodinei was our most dangerous player. I thought he was constantly going up and down, creating opportunities. That shot, for example, in the first half was our only chance of the first half, and that he fully created them on his own. He had a couple of nice 1-2s where he was going, and he had a lot of space in the area to get a good cross, and some of them were actually quite dangerous. So I think Rodinei, for me, it was man of the match. However, I'd give him an equal grade to Retos. Doesn't take anything away from Retos. I'm just doing it to be different. Coach's grade, I'm not going to be as harsh as Kostas.
me.
I'm gonna give him a D. I'm not going to give him an F. He still failed, and there's many reasons for this, but there's also reasons as to why I don't think he deserved an F. My first reason why I don't think he deserved an F is, thank God he realized he can't play. Well, the problem is he played El Kabi and Yaremchuk together. That goes in the thumbs down section from Mendilibar. Thank God his first sub was to bring on Kostoulas instead. An early sub was to bring on Kostoulas in place of Yaremchuk, which takes some balls in a way to bring on the youngster instead of taking off Yaremchuk and putting on Velde, for example. Because at that time it was still 1-0. It wasn't. You didn't have to go all guns blazing. So that's a plus, which is why I think it's not an F. Another thing that I have an issue with is the midfield. That midfield lacks. It just lacked something. It looked disjointed. It looked like the team hadn't played together. To what I said at the start, I think Labro, you might have missed the first 5 minutes, but the team didn't look like they've played together, which is crazy considering 8 of the 11 played in the final last year. And I don't know why, but what is he doing in training? How are you having that midfield? How are you having that formation? And the team looks so disjointed. For me, it has to be a manager thing. He has to have told them something, and it just didn't work out. Finally, a small plus for me is Retos, Pirola, and Carmo, because I think all three had a really good game, and the way they played with each other, I think, really worked really well. Using Rodinei to the best of his abilities by playing the whole wing, I think works in Mendilibar's favor, which is why he gets a slight point up. And also the sub of bringing on Willian was a good sub. I would have brought in Velde a little bit earlier as well. So that in total is why, but you can't look past the result against the Lyon team that has struggled. If you watched our preview with Liam from Get French Football News the other day, you know how much Lyon have been struggling at the moment. And I'm very surprised that we couldn't score. And that is because I think we went in far too defensively and far too scared. But yeah, that's me. Labro?
Yeah, I see a comment commenting on my beautiful hairband. For the OG listeners, they will remember back in Geneva, back when we were in lockdown, I would wear hairbands quite often, and I'm growing my hair out again. So me and Rodinei, we're in it together with the hairbands. If results don't change, I'm gonna fucking cut my hair. So, but I agree with a lot that you said, and I think there's things to build on. Like, I'm not so negative. This 5-3-2, I think could work. It could work in the future and is an interesting idea. I just don't think we had the personnel to do it. Personally, I would have loved to see Doi at 6 in this night, and then like maybe
Mhm.
if we're gonna play in this system, like I would like Masuras to maybe be the second striker, and also just Ortega leaves a lot to be desired. Leaves a lot to be
Mhm.
desired in a system like this. And I've not seen Apostolopoulos to show the characteristics that he can play left wing back in a 5 or 3. So I don't know if we have the personnel for it. Personally, going forward in Europe, how I would play, when everyone's fit and we get roaring, is again I'd play Doi at 6, I'd play Velde on one wing, and I'd play Willian on the other. Essentially, what you're looking at is Willian replacing Fortunis, and you're looking at Velde replacing Podence. Like that's what you're looking, and maybe you get Gelson Martins in there, you throw Masuras in there like last season. That essentially that is the lineup that will save him. I think the issue for him, more so than the sub, I see a lot of people talking about this Yaramchuk, El Kabi. Do I think they play well together? No, not at all. But the issue to me was the midfield fell apart and he didn't make the sub. If he had brought Doi on with Kostulas in the midfield, I think we get a result. Like I honestly think we could have gotten a result, but Dani Garcia completely shit the bed, completely just leaves a lot to be desired. Non-existent by that moment. Did some things well in the first half. Did a few things well. Not enough. Not enough things well for me. But like we were not far from getting a result tonight. It's like it's weird to say that, like loser mentality. I've heard it before, but again, like if you look at XG, we had chances. We just could not. We could not put them away. We could not put them away tonight, and that's what it means in Europe. That's what it means. That's what I've learned following Olympiacos, following everything. When I see us miss one or two chances in Europe, like I know we're in trouble. Like I know we're in fucking trouble because you pay for it. You pay for the missed chances in Europe. You pay. Like you never really get that chance back. So how do I grade tonight? I grade tonight like a C minus or a C because I think he could have gotten a result if he made the subs at halftime. If he brought Doi in at the 6, and if he brought Kostulas in earlier, I think maybe things are different. I would have brought Doi in at the 6 at halftime and left Yaramchuk on the field for a bit longer, to be honest, to see how much more it can go. One last thing. When you play with that much size, you play with those 3 defenders, you play with Yaramchuk, Alkabi, and then you only have Chiquinho to deliver on corners and set pieces, that is another thing that leaves things to be desired. Like, I'd be very keen to see that lineup, but with Sergio Oliveira maybe like at the 6 and delivering all of our corners and delivering all of our set pieces, who is very good at those things. So we had the shape and we had the team to score from certain scenarios, but that's how it goes sometimes, and we're in a difficult spot. We haven't left ourselves room to run because of these past 2 games in Greece. So the pressure's on. Like if we had won the past 2 games, people would have been like, the reaction here would have been like, fuck, we had good chances, we just didn't convert, we had injuries, but we couldn't do it. But because the pressure is what it is, people are mad. So Adi says Oliveira at the 6. What? Question mark. Like Oliveira is not a classic 6, but he's almost Bouchalakis in the way where he's just like, he can play deeper and play passes. Like I'm not expecting Oliveira to clean the ball. So I'm just trying to think of solutions at the 6 because that every time I look at that position, I'm trying to like analyze. I'm trying to figure out like, how can we figure this out? Like how, because Dani Garcia, God bless me, like I think he can play, but I just like haven't seen it from him. And Aris is now arguing with me. Bouchalakis is also an 8. It doesn't matter, guys. Like sometimes, anyway, you guys know what I mean. Costa and Dimitris, you guys know what I mean.
Kostas Levogiannis is thinking that we're going to end up with Sergio Oliveira, Chiquinho, and Santiago Eze in midfield. I also agree with Andreas Doi going as the number 6, with Chiquinho at the number 8, and Eze in a number 8/number 6 kind of role. But that remains to be seen. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Thrylos 7 International. If you haven't done so already, please do like and subscribe to keep growing this community, and join us on Patreon, where you're going to be getting some amazing quirks. And obviously, guys, do not forget, guys, this podcast is nominated as the best international podcast in the Football Content Awards, taking place in November at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Guys, description below, literally the first paragraph, click or copy and paste the link and vote for us, guys. Best international podcast. A lot of work has gone into this. None of this would be possible without you. And guys, thank you so much. Labro, Dimitri, thank you so much for joining me tonight after such a very difficult
we keep going.
Difficult night.
We keep going.
But we keep going. So guys, have a great night. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this was Thrylos 7 International, and we will see you soon.